Our next topic are the properties of algebra. So our goal here is to simplify algebraic expressions by substitute in values, and we'll be doing a little bit of distribution as well. So example 1, what we're doing here is we have an expression p times q plus 6. So my expression, you'll see it on the left, p times q plus 6. What I want to do is I want to substitute in the values of 3 and 5. Which actually happens a lot in real life, so we do want to be careful and pay attention how we do this. So my expression was p times q plus 6, and I'm going to substitute in p equals 3 and q equals 5. So everywhere I see a p, I'll put a 3, and everywhere I see a q, I will put a 5. And now we're going to use our order of operations. I should do this part in parentheses first, so that'll give me 3 times 11, and then 3 times 11 is 33. So I have simplified this expression and evaluated to get 33. Next, I have a little bit of a harder example. I have x plus z times 3 minus z over x plus 3. We want to evaluate this when x is negative 6 and z is negative 2. There's not a ton of room here, so I'm going to write it up top. So everywhere I see an x, I'll replace it with negative 6. So let me just go ahead and underline all my x's. So I have 3 of them. I'm going to substitute in negative 2 for z's, so let me double underline those. And let's go ahead and write it out. So I will have negative 6 plus negative 2 times negative 6 times 3 minus negative 2 times negative 6 over 3. So you have a lot of numbers being floated around here. But the first thing I want to do is this parentheses portion. So negative 6 plus negative 2 times negative 6. And then what is 3 minus a negative 2? Well, if you're thinking about that number line, the negative means switch direction. So if I was going positive, I would then go to the negative portion. If I was going left, I would go right. If I was going right, I would go left. So these negatives cancel out. So really this 3 minus a negative 2 gives me 5. I'm also going to go ahead and do this negative 6 divided by 3 while we're here. It's going to give me a negative 2. It's negative because I had a negative on the top and a positive on the bottom. So now I have negative 6 plus, and these 4 numbers are just being multiplied. So let's go ahead and do that out. Negative 2 times negative 6. That gives me a positive 12. Positive 12, so I'm to here right now. Positive 12 times 5 gives me a positive 60. Positive 60 times negative 2 gives me a negative 120. Negative 6 plus a negative 120. Think about your number line. You're starting at a negative, you're going even more negative. So negative 126. The next thing I want to do is talk about combining terms. So what kind of terms can you combine? What type of terms can you not combine? So in this problem, you can see I have 5x minus 2y minus 8x plus 7y. What I would do is think of this as, instead of x's, think of it as oranges. Instead of y's, think of them as apples. So really what this problem says, let me get a different color here going. This problem says I have 5 oranges minus, let me get a red to represent our apples here. So minus 2 apples. And then I have minus 8 oranges. And then plus 7 apples. So if I gave you this problem and said, I had 5 oranges, I got rid of 8 oranges, how many do I have? That's not as difficult probably in your head to think about as 5x minus 8x, but it's the same problem. If I had 5 oranges and I got rid of 8 oranges, well, how many do I have now? Hopefully you would say that you have negative 3. Oops, negative 3 oranges. And next, I had negative 2 apples. I'm adding in 7 apples, so that would be 5 apples. Now, of course, it's not really a mathematical expression. X's and Y's are more common, but it's the same thing. So I had negative 3 oranges plus 5 apples. Don't think of X and Y as something overly complicated. They're just a placeholder. So if it makes more sense to you to think of X's as oranges and Y's as apples, go for it. Now what I want to do is combine this one, and this looks a little more complicated, but it's really not. I've just added something extra in. I have 8x squared minus 3x plus 7 minus 2x squared plus 4 minus 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and kind of circle things that are allowed to be put together. So let's start with 8x squared. I'll put that in red. I'm allowed to combine that with this negative 2x squared. You're not allowed to combine it with just x. X's and x squareds are different. That would be like you trying to combine oranges and grapefruit. Yeah, they're both citrus, but you can't really put them together. So 8x squared minus 2x squared. We're going to put those together in just a second. I'm also going to be allowed to combine my minus 3x and my positive 4x. And the last thing that I'm going to be allowed to combine, just my numbers, 7 and minus 3. All right, so let's start with my 8x squared and my minus 2x squared. If I have 8 of something and I subtract 2 of them, how much do I have left over? That would be 6 of them. So I have 6x squareds. Next, I'll go with my x's. Looks like I had minus 3 of them, and I'm adding 4 of them. So that leaves me with a positive 1 of them. And lastly, I have 7 minus 3, which gives me a positive 4. So let me write this in hopefully a better color that you can see. My answer was 6x squared plus x plus 4. Now I know that x, I should have maybe written the 1 out front, but 1x and x are the same, so that's where that came from. Next, what I want to do is distribute. So here I have 4 times 2x minus 7. And when we say distribute, we mean that this 4 needs to be multiplied by everything in the parentheses. So you can think of this as distributing. So for distribution, you need to multiply it by everything that's being added or subtracted. I don't distribute it twice to this 2x because that's already being multiplied. You only distribute it to the terms that are being added or subtracted. So this will give me 4 times 2x minus 4 times 7, which 4 times 2x looks like 8x, and 4 times 7 is 28. So that's what we mean by distribution. We'll do one more of these. Here I have 3x minus 2 times 4x minus 4. I'm only going to be distributing this negative 2. So this problem says distribute the negative 2 to the 4x and also to the negative 5. So if I distribute that, I'll have negative 2 times 4x and then negative 2 times negative 5, which gives me 3x. Negative 2 times 4x will give me minus 8x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. And we're almost done. The only thing is, if you see we have a 3x here and a minus 8x there, we can combine those. If I have 3 of something and I get rid of 8 of them, I have negative 5 of them. So my final answer, negative 5x plus 10.